Joining us live this morning for daily analysis of the federal election race is CTV News political commentator Scott Reid. Scott, you used to work at the PMO. Before we get into our main topics, what does the prime ministerial hat look like?
Well, in the case of Mark Carney, it looks like he's standing right in front of the doors of Parliament, projecting on behalf of the country. And, you know, in any other circumstance, if you were to say, well, we're going to take the leader off the campaign trail for 1, 2, 3 days, that's how many it's been now over the course of this election, only 3 weeks in, you know, people would say, well, that's nuts. But in Carney's case, when he's able to slip away from being Mark Carney candidate and take on the role of Mark Carney prime minister, it actually boosts his numbers. When you look at the personal preference numbers that Nick has been showing us and the big lead he has over both Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh, in some respects, that's because he is able to look and sound and project the role and the authority of prime minister. So it is it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of today's announcement. Will he be, outlining further actions with respect to the United States, with other trade partners? But there's no question that this sort of back and forth between candidate and prime minister has actually benefited the Liberals and Mark Carney specifically.
Yeah, he still takes a pretty big lead when it comes to who Canadians want to see as prime minister, and the Liberals are still up about 5-6 points when it comes to overall party that people want to see in power. Scott, let's talk about the NDP. They've really kind of tanked in their numbers, but Jagmeet Singh has put out a new ad.
Say it like it is, sister.
They put out a new ad, and it's kind of it's got an interesting message. I don't know if you want to call to the clip, and then we could talk about it after.
Yeah, let's have a little clip of it, then we'll talk.
Now is the time to keep Canada, Canada. We are who we are because we take care of each other. We know that Donald Trump and his illegal trade war hurts workers and their families. And it's going to matter who's in Ottawa fighting for you. A Canada where one party holds all the power means cuts to the very things that make us who we are.
You check that out. That last line to me is the tell. This tells us where the NDP are going message-wise and appeal-wise for the balance of the campaign. If one party has all the power, the indication here is that they're getting close to conceding that Mark Carney is going to win, possibly win big, and therefore their appeal will be, you need NDP members of Parliament to keep them honest, to make certain that we don't lose the things we value most, like healthcare, like pharmacare. Like, they're going to make that pitch. I don't know if it'll be successful, but it's interesting that already this early in the campaign, they're effectively having to migrate to, look, we already know who the next prime minister is going to be. So now the question is, what else goes along with that? And it's a measure of how weak they are, to be candid, but it might be the smartest and only play left available to them. I point out two things in Nick's numbers when it comes to the NDP, just as a measure of how difficult this campaign has been for them. Their national number, 8-9%. That's wildly low, but it doesn't tell exactly how bad it is out there. In Ontario, seat-rich Ontario, 7%. You get wiped out on 7%. You can't win a flippin' seat with 7%. In British Columbia, their stronghold, where Jagmeet Singh has a seat, 12%. Again, 12%. That is probably barely enough to hang on to a couple of seats. They could be looking at fewer than 10 seats. So for the NDP, I don't know if this pitch will work, but something needs to work, and it needs to work fast because they're drowning.
So, Scott, let's rewind 6 months, because 6 months ago, the NDP was really holding the balance of power in Ottawa and pretty much could have brought down the government and appeared much better in national polling. Do you get the sense there's any regret coming out of the New Democrats right now about that strategy of hanging on and getting to ultimately this point?
I had this discussion with a senior NDP, a couple of them yesterday, and they both gave me the same answer, and it was quite fierce. Well, if we had pulled the plug on Justin Trudeau and forced an election when he was still prime minister, we would have ended up with a large conservative majority under Pierre Poilievre and all those things that they say their voters care about, like pharmacare, dental care, remaining strong and standing up against the United States. According to the NDP, those things would have been surrendered and would have been lost. So they're looking at the road untraveled and saying, as bad as this one is, the alternative was worse. But I got to tell you, there's no question in my mind. It isn't just Trump that's driven their numbers down. It's the fact that they let Justin Trudeau wriggle off the hook. The best thing that the NDP had going for them was Justin Trudeau's unpopularity. Mark Carney has come in, and it's been a brand new day, fresh leader, fresh face, and one tailor-made to take on Trump. And it has really left them on the sidelines trying to break in. And at 7%, 8%, 9%, they're not breaking in.
Yeah.
They're losing, and losing quite significantly.
Yeah. It's like the NDP's taking one for the team, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, CTV's political.
That's their argument, but not much consolation with that particular ribbon.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Okay, CTV's political commentator Scott Reid. Always appreciate your time, Scott. Have a great weekend and happy golf watching.